I'm Pepper Baker with your ABC 24 News update. First, civil rights attorney Ben Crump has announced the results of an independent autopsy could come before baby Cohen Wiley's funeral, which is set for Saturday. During that news conference at Gospel Temple Church, Attorney Crump also criticized language in a law enforcement report that he said described Cohen as a, quote, juvenile fleeing with two adults. He argued that characterization is inappropriate given that Cohen was just 1 year old. Crump also pointed to what he said was evidence showing a bullet traveled through a side window of the car. He claimed that fact supports the family's position that the car was not being driven toward the officer when the shots were fired. The family said they want transparency, accountability, and justice for baby Cohen.
I watched my baby take his first breath, and I watched my baby take his last breath. I'm still in disbelief about the traumatizing event that occurred that took my one and only child, baby Cohen. I ask that you keep my family in your prayers and justice for baby Cohen.
That baby loved his mother, and his mother loved him. What these people took from us can never be replaced. I am hurt. I am devastated. I want answers. I want justice for that baby.
And what hurts me most is when my granddaughter asks where he is. She's only 3 years old. And to see her play along, I just want justice for my dude, man. That's all I can say.
Baby Cohen's funeral is expected to be at Hosanna Church in Pope, Mississippi at 2 Saturday afternoon. More than 3 dozen Memphis nonprofits are getting a major funding boost. City leaders gathered at the Benjamin L. Hook Central Library to award nearly $6 million for housing projects across the city. Memphis's Division of Housing and Community Development awarded more than $5.9 million through several federal and local grant programs. The funding will support emergency housing services, rental assistance, HIV/AIDS housing programs, and neighborhood revitalization efforts. In all, more than 40 organizations and 4 local colleges received funding to help expand services. Nationally, a rare moment of overwhelming bipartisanship on Capitol Hill. The Senate passing a sweeping housing bill. The legislation loosens regulations, restricts corporate investors, and addresses affordability ahead of the midterm elections. Here's ABC's Lionel Moyes.
This morning, an agreement on Capitol Hill addressing one of the most pressing issues of our time, the housing shortage. In a rare act of bipartisanship, the Senate passing the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, the most far-reaching housing reform legislation in decades.
I don't say this a lot, but today I'm proud to be a member of the United States Senate.
The measure will loosen regulations to encourage more home construction, open up funding to convert abandoned buildings into new housing, and ban Wall Street investors from buying single-family homes so those homes can instead be sold to families.
It unlocks housing supply. When you put more housing supply on the market, more people have a chance to become a first-time home buyer.
The median home buyer in America is 40 years old. The down payment is excruciating to many and puts housing out of reach for them. A record 242 cities in the U.S. now have typical starter homes valued at $1 million or more.
5 Republicans voted against the bill, including Senator Rick Scott.
Well, I don't see how it's going to drive down the cost of housing. Most of the regulations that are impacting the cost of housing is not at the federal level. It's at the local level.
Polls show high housing costs are shaping how Americans feel about affordability, and a recent report showed the extent of the problem, finding a nationwide shortage of 10 million homes.
The bill now heads to the House, where it's also expected to pass with bipartisan support as soon as today. It's seen as the most significant housing bill approved by Congress since 1990. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
Well, that was your ABC 24 News update. I'm Pepper Baker. Thank you for watching.